Welcome, Christian metal community. My name is Jimmy. I'm here with Jay. We are part of the leadership team for the Christian metal group. And today we're with the band Saving Darkness. We have Mike, Jeff, and Aaron. And how are y'all doing today, guys?
Good. Doing good.
Awesome. Glad to have you on. So for those people watching from around the world, you'll know that they have an accent like mine because they are local to me. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina. They're in Spartanburg. We're about 30 to 45 minutes apart, and I got the privilege of seeing their band live open for Brutality about a year ago. So, yeah, that was awesome. So to kick us off here, tell us, and we'll kind of, I guess we'll go Mike, Aaron, Jeff. It's a two-part question. Did you grow up in a religious home, and did you grow up in a musical home?
So I grew up in a musical home. My mom played piano. My dad played guitar. Cool. He played like blues and stuff like that. And my mom was really into stuff like Michael Jackson.
But
so I had a lot of musical influence growing up, but it was not a religious home. Now my mom was Christian, but that was about the extent of it, you know. She would tell me Bible stories sometimes to try to get me interested, but that was about the extent of it. I wasn't like took to church or anything like that.
Sure. I was drugged to church, you know. No, I'm joking. All right, Aaron.
We have more.
How about you, Aaron?
My grandma kept us in church. Pretty much a lot of our teenage years. My mom and dad would let us go to her house for the weekend. They didn't attend church at the time, so it was one of those. I think they wanted a break and from the kids, and so we would go to church with my grandma. Very strict background. You wore a suit to church. You pretty much didn't play outside until that suit was hung up and all that. And we strict background. I wasn't fully in it until probably more of my teenage years. I didn't really grasp it until then. I'm glad she did keep us in church at those times because I feel like that was something that bloomed over the years. But it was a strict background, but it was greater in the long run.
And what about a musical? Did you grow up in a musical home? Did anybody play instruments or listen to music all the time or anything like that?
So my mom, she was more into 80 hair bands, and then my dad was more into like Slayer, King Diamond, Ozzy. Okay. It was more of what I think I took after. But they only played the radio. They didn't play instruments. But my Papa Ray, I didn't get to know him long, but he was very talented. He can grab something and play it and just run. So I felt like I got some of those roots along the line.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Hey, that's super cool.
All right.
Well,
and hold on. And Jeff.
Oh, we got one more. Sorry.
Yeah. I was brought up Southern Baptist.
Okay.
Not too strict, but enough to keep me in line. Parents wasn't musicians, but my parents listened to like Journey, Fleetwood Mac, Eagles, Boston, ZZ Top, all the time, playing a record on the turntable when I was a kid. I remember hearing it, Mom blasting it through the house, cleaning on Saturday mornings, Saturday morning cartoons back in those days. So I've had a heavy influence in music, listening wise, not so much playing wise. Didn't get behind the drums.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was just say that's an awesome childhood. Transformers with Boston blaring in the background. I mean, come on.
I had the big headphones on. Yeah, I got pictures of it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I was fortunate and blessed to hear those types of bands, as a child.
Nice.
All right, cool. So I know that, who was it? Aaron that said his father listened to like King Diamond and stuff. For the rest of y'all, how'd you all get into metal?
For me, I had older cousins that were, listened to Metallica and Megadeth and bands of those nature, and got me behind a drum kit when I was in junior high, 7th grade, and then kind of pulled away from the drum part because you got labeled as a band nerd as you coming up through high school, but I was kind of secretly playing. But I transitioned to sports through my high school years, and then once I graduated, a friend of mine that I worked with had a drum kit at his house, and he invited me over. Was playing video games one night and seen the drum kit over there in the corner. I was like,
Yeah.
If I sit over there behind it, sure. Really never played a full kit. I was just in concert band. Just played the snare and maybe a cymbal here and there. So that's been about 25 years ago. So
Nice.
So for me, when I said my family played, like my whole family played. My uncles, my grandpas, like everybody played music. So I was just always around it from a young age. And I wanted to be a drummer. I watched the drummers that played with my dad's band. I wanted to be a drummer. So when I was about 5, I got behind a kit and I would kind of learn things from the drummer. But then when I was 8 years old, my dad had left his guitar rig, sitting out in the living room when he went to work. And I was like, you know what? I bet I could do that. So I picked up the guitar and I turned on the radio. I'll never forget this. And this was in the 90s. When I turned on the radio, they were playing Metallica, Enter Sandman. And I'd sit down with the guitar and I tried to figure it out, and I was able to figure out the main riff. And that was it for me. I never did try to play drums again, really. I just stuck with the guitar. But that's also how I got into metal, coming from, I heard Metallica, Enter Sandman. I was like, wow,
That's a gateway drug right there.
I was just about to say, yes. That's exactly what I was about to say.
So far on all of our interviews, that album is like the #1 gateway into metal. I mean, it was for me too.
At least, I think, and for me, it was like the album right before that is Injustice for All. That's what got me into metal. So it's still.
That's because you're older.
I was gonna say I was a kid when Enter Sandman was playing, and it was odd too because it didn't get daytime radio play. It was too heavy. Back then, it only
right.
So where did you hear it? Just somebody else playing it?
No, it was on the radio, but it was a particular show. They used to have a station.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it was called The Edge, is what the station was called. They would play a metal show from 8 to 9.
Yeah.
And that was the only time you could hear it. Yeah, I get you. So, give us a little history about how the band formed. Are you all original members, or how in what year and how did that process go?
So we're basically Megadeth.
I love it. Yes.
We've had a bunch of different members, but not
okay.
not all in a bad way. Some guys just had other things they wanted to do in life. And,
sure. Yeah.
Our old bass player, he's still a Christian, still living for God, but he got married and moved up to North Carolina and started driving trucks for a living. And so, so just different things like that. But so Jeff actually, he was technically our first drummer,
and then they kicked me out. And invited me.
You found redemption.
Yeah. But he had a lot of things going on in his life at the time, and he was just real busy, and so we ended up parting ways for a little while. I mean, we always stayed friends.
Yeah.
But we just wasn't playing in a group together, and it happened to turn out the last few years ago. We was looking for a drummer.
Okay.
The stars aligned perfectly.
It just lined up, and I'm talking to Jeff. I was actually talking to him about. He was teaching me some things about mixing and mastering.
Okay.
And it ended up right at this time, our drummer quit. He ended up saying he denounced God and went. I think he's a Buddhist now.
Oh wow, that's an interesting change.
Yeah. So around that time, I'm like, Jeff, we need a drummer. So he's actually doing our drumming, our mixing, and mastering now.
Okay. Oh, nice. You do all that, yeah. And so Jeff, you're the only original member technically. Okay.
No.
And Aaron, what do you play?
Just sing.
Oh, you just sing. Okay.
Just
And then
sing.
who else was in? Sorry, Aaron. I didn't realize. And who else was in the band?
So Ryan and Andy. Ryan plays
Uh-huh.
rhythm guitar, plays lead in rhythm, and then Andy plays bass.
Andy plays. So
Ryan's he had to work today, work his day job, and then Andy just had a baby Friday, so he couldn't be here.
yeah.
Right.
Well, from what we understand, when y'all negotiate those big contracts, the bass player gets most of the money, right?
That's true. That is true. So, like the story with Aaron, I got to tell you guys this story because it's interesting too. So, our old singer, like I said, not every situation is like this. We had a bass player that left on good terms. Everything's great, you know. But our singer that we had at the time, back in the day, it's been what, 2 years now?
Almost 3.
Going 3 years now. So he ended up kind of going off the deep end. He was abusive to women and things that started coming not good. When I confronted him about it, he doubled down on it. We went back and forth for about 2 years trying to fix this issue. It never did work. Finally, he leaves, but let me get to the good part. So the good part is I had told my wife we were going to go watch Seventh Day Slumber. They were playing about an hour away.
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm like, look, I don't want to talk about any band stuff. I was like, I don't want anybody there to even know I'm in a band. I just want to go and worship. That's all I want to do. And so we go, and that's my plan. I'm enjoying the show. I'm enjoying some good worship. They were playing a lot of, they have a worship album. They were playing a lot of songs from that worship album. And so my wife speaks to Aaron. Aaron's like, I'm the youth pastor here. And she's like, he's in a band. So I start talking to Aaron, and we become friends. And now he didn't know any of this stuff was going on with our old singer, because me and him were friends for a good year, maybe 2, because all that stuff was going on behind the scenes between me and the old singer. Well, after he finally decided he was done and we couldn't work it out and we parted ways, I was like, "Hey, Aaron, you got any interest in singing?" So that's how me and him met.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, that's metal shows bringing metal heads together. That's how it works. I'm actually Seventh Day Slumber is going to be in Hendersonville, North Carolina soon. I might take my boys to go see it. I don't know yet. Hadn't decided, but
you're going. Don't even worry about it. Okay, so let's talk about the name Saving Darkness. What's that about, and what influenced you all naming your band that?
So what had happened was, and I'll just go ahead and put this out there, I wasn't real crazy about the name, to be honest with you. But at the time, what we did was all the members, they came up with a couple of names. We put them in a hat. We prayed about it, and we pulled a name. That was the one we pulled. Wow. But the idea behind the name was, back then a lot of Christian bands got a lot of hate and heat if they were to play in a bar. That was a big thing. Like, if you played in a bar and you were a Christian band, you were evil too, But so our whole thing was we wanted to go into places like that on purpose because we can relate to these people. You know what I mean? We come out of the same scene that they're in. A lot of us played in metal bands before we were Christians. So we can relate to them. We can talk to them about music, about gear, and hopefully eventually about God, depending on how we're able to speak.
Yo, that's interesting. I know, Aaron, you were talking about, or someone was saying that you're a youth pastor. So are you still a youth pastor?
No, I'm a previous youth pastor. When we moved up towards this way, we saw that it was going to be a better opportunity for our family. We ended up moving, and I had left that church.
Yeah, that's all good. I think that so I guess the next question, or the next thing I was going to talk about with that though, is that it seems like a lot of times in churches you have like 2 types of churches. You have the churches that tend to cater to the people that are already there, and then you have the churches that are more interested in evangelism, and that seems to be their goal. So this seems to be both, and it seems like with people that churches that have youth pastors, they tend to, I mean, just in my own experience and observation, those tend to be the churches that are at least interested in, reaching out obviously to youth just by virtue of having a youth pastor, and then also just doing evangelism. So how important is evangelism? Just relating to both church and to metal, like the parallel is that a lot of metal bands, like Christian metal bands, some people feel like their music is for the church, and even um, Christian metal fans, like what we have in our group, we have a lot of people that feel like the music needs to cater to Christians, and then other people, they feel like the music needs to cater to evangelism, and maybe reaching out to others. So where do you all fall into that?
I guess I can start it off.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that a lot, and I know a lot of songs that we have written over the years. A lot of them can glorify God. A lot of them can show where we're talking to some. I relate it sort of like Skillet's past albums, where it was like Comatose, when they had like the last night you'll spend like he's having a conversation with this girl, and he's like, hey, or girl, or guy, whichever one you want to look at it in that perspective.
Right.
That was a major struggle when I was growing up, with the whole cutting and all that.
Right.
But I look at it from the perspective of in David and Psalms, where there's times we're going to write music that are going to glorify God. There's some that we want to show that, God is the way to lead them to Him. And sometimes I feel we write songs that were things that we went through just to ourselves, that we can write a song that glorifies God, that could help somebody, but it's something that we got out of, or we struggled with in life, that we hope that can reach someone else, if that makes sense.
That's good. Just because I know we've emphasized this in the group a lot of times, and it's definitely, I guess, one of the focuses that I have a lot, because when people say, I know in Jimmy, he talks about the JPMs, like the Jesus per minute.
Yeah.
And it's like people tend to, I don't know if people tend to ignore those psalms, like the ones that are more personal, or even like a book like the Song of Solomon or whatever. A lot of those are very personal. A lot of those songs, they're songs, and they're just like, hey, like some days it's like, hey, I'm just going through some stuff right now. I know that the Lord, is God or whatever. Right now, like I'm just having a super like depressed. I'm depressed right now. Somebody's like Saul's chasing after me or whatever, or I sinned, or hey, I might just be like hanging out with the sheep one day. It's like there's so many different things, I think, and I think that it's kind of like church. Like I guess some people, they might focus on Psalm 91 or whatever. He did dwell in the secret place or whatever, and they forget about like Psalm 51, where it's like
well, and I think
what was me,
Yeah, and I think it depends on how you're growing up. Not just growing up in the church, but it could be a pastor leading. It could be if you're evangelized. It's how you take the word. But I think a lot of the problem is, and I want to say this in the most respectful way, a lot of times Christians would rather argue than come to the perspective of, we're trying to reach people, we want to love each other, we want to respect each other. And there is times where we have to put our foot down. There's times where we have to judge righteously and all that. Yeah. But I feel like the division, personally, I can deal without, because I've dealt with so much division over the years. And just looking at the Bible as a whole, rather than pick scriptures of, well, we should be glorifying God. We should be, there was a lot of times, there was a lot of things going on in the Bible, even before Jesus was born and after Jesus was born, that we still relate to. We talk about in church, and all that,
Yeah,
I think
that's good. I know.
I think it was a
Yeah.
good
Do you have something else?
perspective that you. It's a good perspective that you brought up about some of the Psalms. How David would write things about God. I messed up. I messed up again. So his songs wasn't just to bring people to God, but it was also to let people know that there's hope when you make a mistake, and there's hope
Right.
when you're going through depression or this, that, and the other.
That's good. Yeah, and Aaron, I know when I interviewed you, probably a little over a year ago, I think you were fairly new to the band at the time. I don't know how many shows if you'd played. Was that your first show with the band, or had you played some?
No,
Do you
that
remember?
I think we had done 2 shows before that. We opened for Shallow Side, and then we did a benefit show, and then I want to say the Brutality one. No.
Oh no,
We
was
played
Cleansing
opened
of
for
the Temple.
Cleansing of the Temple, and then we opened for Shallow Side, and then we did benefit, then
man,
Brutality.
that's yeah. Cleanse of the Temple. That's a band that's I still haven't seen, and they're local. They live about an hour from here in Seneca, but they're coming to the radio room, so hopefully I'll get to see them. We should get them on for an interview too, Jay.
Yeah, let's do it.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
But I was going to ask Aaron. So since then, you've been in the band now a while, and all. How has it been? Getting in, playing more with the band, and how have you grown as a singer and lyricist and everything?
Oh, well, I can probably talk about that long as this interview can go, but I think we've grown a lot. We come into the band room, we talk shop, we play, we try to get tighter with our music. And I think that's helped me, where you sort of trusting each other to where, you can be on sync with one another. We don't come in and, we have all these, disbeliefs or, there's a lot of trust that has gotten put into the band that I know in
Sure.
past bands that I've been in, it wasn't always like that. And I think that has helped grow, like I said, from a trust level. Lyrically, this goes in with the trust thing. I've been very open about, I've struggled with depression many years. And I always have faith that God's going to bring me through that, because I know it's not always in our timing. There's a lot of things, I've struggled with over the years with depression and all that. I know God will bring me through, but I've communicated that even with the band, and it wasn't you need to get that together, or you don't want to bring the band down in this way, or we don't want to hear that. It was always hey, you know what, we're going to pray for you through it, and we're going to be there, and we just come in here, and like I said, it just comes together. So lyrically, even on, and not trying to make this a longer answer, but lyrically, even on this EP that we released, a lot of that came from a lot of things that I dealt with through the years. Some of it could be things that God's brought me out of, or things that, we still struggle with today that we know that He'll bring you out of. And it, like I said, it was just one of those, I've been able to be comfortable, sharing this with the band. I think that's helped us mainly just a trust,
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking earlier. I asked Aaron because we've never really spoke about this as a band, but I told him earlier. I said, when I look at our new EP, I almost see a concept album to help people with depression or suicidal thoughts,
Nice.
and to give
Yeah.
hope. I mean, that's what I hear coming out of his lyrics, and so I was like, "Is that safe to say?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, it is."
Yeah, because and adding into that, I feel like, and like I said, I don't want to run on with the answer, but I think it is one of those what we even talked about a second ago. Those are lines that a lot of Christians don't want to really cross or dig into. A lot
Because you're supposed to
know-
be okay all the
Yeah.
time.
You're supposed to be okay. You give it to God, and if you're moping, run to the altar, and all that, and a lot of times, like I said, it's in God's time, and even because we can give something to God, and we may not see it come to pass for months, days, hours, years, and it's all about trusting and having faith in Him. And like I said, it runs into I like being able to talk about these things and sing about these things that I feel like a lot of Christians don't want to really dive into, and it goes in with a variety of, singing about God, singing about what God's brought you through, and you know what I mean.
Sure.
So
Good.
Yeah, super cool. So let's segue. We just mentioned the EP, so let's talk about the making of "Till the Death of Me." And congratulations, by the way, because I know
Yes.
it hasn't even been a month, and so
Yeah.
I know having a new release is always exciting.
Thank you.
So yes, so yeah, let's delve into it. I maybe we'll focus on like two songs, but let's talk about the actual making of the EP first, and then I'll have you all I'll choose two songs and have you all discuss the meaning of those two songs. So let's So yes, let's talk about the process. Like as far as your songwriting process, like who do y'all start with a riff? Do y'all start with a lyric? What's that like?
This last album, depending on the song, just take Rise for example. Ryan brought that to the table, and
okay,
I rejoined the band, right over a year ago, and it's like like Legos. You just kind of stack. I take it and I listen. For me, from a drummer's perspective, I take it and I digest it, break it down, and typically for me, I think it starts with the guitar, and we add the drums, bass comes in, and then on the song Gehenna, it was bass. Bass kind of brought it to the table. Andy brought it, and basically we just it's just a process. We pretty much wrote this album in studio.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that was unique for me personally, because in the past, you'll play on a song, jam on a song for months and months, almost a year before you ever get to the recording process. But this time, it was just so new lineup. Me coming back into the picture, Aaron. It was real fun and unique for me personally to be able to write a song in studio, and see how the process of it was very different.
It was, and to piggyback on that, so like our old stuff, I used to pretty much write everything. I would write all the music, all the lyrics, write everybody's parts.
Oh, wow.
And that's the way we used to do things. And so for me, this album was really refreshing because I just kind of stepped back, and I think I only really took part on writing one song on this EP. The rest of it,
wow, nice.
yeah. I mean, so the rest of it, I just wrote guitar solos and harmonies,
And
I love it.
As Aaron was saying earlier about trust, I think we really we gained a lot of trust with each other in this whole process of writing this new album for me, and I feel like the other guys would agree. We all come from different backgrounds. We do there is a big age diversity within a band. So, me helping him out, him helping me out. I think it really just was the chemistry within the band. This has probably been the best part of an album I've ever been a part of. Just
same here.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome.
So just like he said, the trust, just trusting each other as advice given. Hey, try this, or hey, try that, and we do it. And we don't just dig our heels in and be like, nah. And it's been great. It's been great. It turned out really great to be able to lean on each other and trust each other's judgment.
I think so too.
Tell us about so my favorite song on the 7-song EP is Oxygen. So tell us about that song, how it was, what's about, the writing and all that for it.
So I wish Ryan was here because me and him pretty much tag teamed on it. But
oh, okay.
So it basically is like talking to a friend about whether that friend is has backslid or where that friend is, dealing with things. He's not showing up to church. He's not.
Okay.
He's not really doing what he was doing, and it's one of those. He doesn't know how to, or he or she does not know how to get out of it. So it's one of those encouraging songs that we see you drowning, and that's like the first, one of the first lyrics. You're drowning in all these things, and there's only one way to get back to where you can find peace. And it's one of those just encouraging songs where I'm here for you. I can't save you, but I know somebody that can save you. You know somebody that can save you. And what's beautiful about that song is it's not a song where I'm pushing you like oh, we'll get back up and just shake it off. Don't worry about. It's one of those like, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to talk you through it. But I can't do it. In the end, that's got to be
Yeah.
you can do it. You can fight this. You can win. I'm quoting lyrics from it. Win this war inside. Don't give up. You can have that peace again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Mike, did you write the music for that?
No, I just wrote the guitar solo. Ryan
Okay.
Ryan wrote the music, and Ryan and Jeff really, as far as the transitions and everything. And
Just like a Megadeth song, right?
Yeah, there we go.
hey, and see, that was like Jeff said about trusting each other and growing. Like, see, that's a place where I've grown, because in the past I used to feel like I had to have my hands in every little piece, and so now I've learned, let people do what they came to do. Like if you got this guy that's good at writing riffs, let him write them. If you got this guy that's good with lyrics, singing, let him write them. And so I've stepped back a lot on that, and it's really refreshing for me, because not only is it refreshing because we get a new sound that's true and genuine to every member of the band, but
absolutely,
but we also get we also get like, I get to hone my what I bring to the table. I like to play solos. I like to play guitar harmonies. So like, I mean, and Jeff did the mixing and mastering. So yeah, I know you'll remember this, but like I might message him and I'll be like, hey, can we bring this guitar harmony up some? Because I want to hear a little more of that or this and that. And when you're the average listener listening, it really doesn't make a difference whether that harmony's up or not. But for me, that part is what I really enjoy about music, is harmonies and guitar solos.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so let's Gehenna. Let's talk about that song. I know we kind of mentioned earlier. So how did this song come about? What's it about? What's the theme?
That one, out of all of them, it kind of came quick. Like I said earlier, it was studio written. Our bass player Andy, he pretty much brought the meat of the song, the main riff, and just kind of built off of it. Ran it through a few cycles of rehearsal, and then gave Aaron some time to kind of think on it and come up with some lyrics, and it turned out awesome. And again, just another example of trusting each other on, we all take the song home. We kind of do a rough recording of it. We all take it back, process it, digest it over the weeks. I'm hearing things, Mike hearing things, Ryan, all of us, Aaron. And then I'll hear an idea of like, okay, that might be cool for how the lyrics may go, or the harmony of the lay of the song. Aaron starts singing. I'm like, okay, it's just, we just kind of bounce all our ideas off, and it's just, as far as the lyrics go, I'll turn that over to Aaron, where all that came from.
Yeah, Gehenna was very complex. There was so much I feel like you could have did with that song. But it's one of those, I could hear it in my head, but I didn't know how to just like put it on the paper, put it in the microphone, all that. It was very complex, and it really just came together one day. I was sitting at my desk. That's what I was talking to Jeff about earlier. We were re-talking all this, and It was one of those. I was sitting at my desk and I was like, I just cannot. I've prayed about it. I've tried to force where all right, well, I'll just do this, I'll just do that, and it was just very hard to get where we wanted, or for me to get where I wanted to have the song. And then it was just like, do something just very different, So like at the beginning of it, there's more singing, and then it goes into like almost like a corn song, and then it just jumps into something else, and then it just all. But lyrically, on the EP, I would like to think "Rise" is the anthem of the album or of the EP, to where that's the one that we've rode with. It's one of the more popular ones, but I feel like Gehenna sets the EP, like it sets the story. Like you got when you're watching a TV show or you're watching a movie and they're showing the cast and the director and all that.
Right.
You've got Rise, but then when you get to Gehenna, that's when the story is actually being told, to where from my perspective, where depression, and I've dealt with suicide before, and all these things where when you get to that point, you're thinking, how do you get out of it? So instead of starting from a high point, you're starting from the low point, and you're going, okay, how do I get out of this? I've got demons over here. I've got quicksand over here. I've got all these things just around me, and there's nothing to get out of, like this hole. And really it just came together where it was one of those, that's how we're going to start the story. We're going to start it from the bottom. We don't want to start it, we're like what Todd said, and go like, well, we can glorify God on this, but let's start to how we can go from the bottom and then get to God, and
That's cool.
So it was really more like that. It was, how when you get to this point, where you're at your breaking point, where you're at your, lowest, yeah, you can, do the job, commit suicide. You can go to drugs. You can go to any other thing at your lowest point. But, if you want to survive, if you have a reason to live, if you want to, live for your family, if you want to live for God, anything, where does the start begin? And that's really where Gehenna really kicked it.
Okay.
That's awesome, dude. I think I while you were saying that, I was thinking about myself. And I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to a story like this, just being a teenager and not really seeing what was ahead, and just being like, oh, life really sucks right now, and I just want to like commit suicide. And obviously if I had done that, I would never met y'all, of course, but also just like looking back, or it's like, dang, I thank God for a purpose in life, of course. But yeah, a lot of times we don't see what's next, and at some point we have to turn it over to God and be like, yo, because man, if it's up to us, and of course we're finding we're not we're not omniscient, so we don't know everything.
No,
but
right.
yeah, thank God for I guess people that aren't afraid to tackle those subjects and aren't afraid to reach out to people, because obviously we know that the devil wants to destroy us, and man,
it's,
but there's
it's very relatable for sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah, there's such life on. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just, so tell us about the artwork, man. I'm really digging the cover of the EP. Who drew that, and what concept? Who came up with that?
So, well, I'm gonna say it in this perspective. I tried my hardest to draw it, and I reached out to a couple people. I could not get it for the life of me, or get it the way I feel like the story, like I said, because I treat it as a story, as the cover.
Yeah.
And honestly, I went straight to Google, man, at the AI, and I put in like the lyrics, I put in the story, and I saw it, and that was the perfect. And I'm not a full supporter of AI. I don't really get it, but it was one of those. I saw it and I was like, that's it. You know, that's what
Nice.
I want to put into it. Now, I would love for somebody to draw it for me, or I'd love to do the artwork myself. I did the artwork on the past one, but it just could not capture exactly what I wanted. But the meaning of the artwork is it doesn't matter if the devil's on your back. It doesn't matter how many demons you've dealt with in life, or the demons that are, on your heels or anything like that. Like, the end goal, and that's where the cross represents, the end goal is God is there no matter what. It doesn't matter if I'm basically, if my face is on the ground. It doesn't matter if I'm standing on my own 2 feet. Like,
Right.
no matter what, like, God has it in the end.
That's good. I love it.
Yeah. So let's talk about your music style. In the sea of metal subgenres, how do you classify yourself?
Yeah. For a new listener, whenever they hear your music, what are they going to be getting exactly? How do you classify it?
You could say metalcore. I would say alternative metalcore or alternative metal. Because we have so much going on, I don't feel like we could just classify as like a hard rock band or straight, thrash metal. And I think it's just we have to stick more with alternative.
Okay.
It really is hard to
Yeah.
label us because we all have different backgrounds that we
Different
come from,
influences.
different
Mhm.
influences, and you can hear it within our music.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to slap a label on us like what genre, because me personally, I hear all different kind,
Yeah.
just at different points
Same
within
here.
the songs.
Same here. Like I'm really into progressive metal, and I'm sure you can hear that in what I bring to the table. But then I also hear in our music, I hear like some thrash, I hear some metal, I hear some straight rock.
Yeah.
And then, like Aaron said, I do hear a lot of metalcore, which I'm a big fan of metalcore too. So
Awesome. Well,
That's awesome.
we'll start with Jeff on this one. Tell us who are your musical influences, like for a drummer, vocalist and a guitarist. Who are your influences as a drummer?
Well, starting off, it's going to be Lars from Metallica, as usual.
Okay. Yeah.
But Off the Bridge, Scott Phillips, Creed, probably been my biggest influence over my career of playing. His style, his energy, his fundamentals and technique. I've kind of mimicked that in my playing over the years. But he would probably be a number one. And then, as I said, Lars, Metallica, mainly the metal scene. Just hearing that my whole life. But say Scott Phillips would be my number one as far as influence.
Okay.
Cool.
Aaron?
Well, it's really went over the years. I can agree with Jeff. I think mine started with more of it, like years ago. Getting into singing was more of like a Scott Stapp vibe. And then over the years, when I really started getting more into rock, it was more of Kevin from Disciple and John Cooper from Skillet. More recently, and I know this is the funny part because I know where we were talking about, what would we classify ourselves in, and this band right now is very controversial that I went more towards on this album would be more of his name is Vessel, but the lead singer of Sleep Token.
We've been talking about them lately.
Nobody, because everybody says, well, they're metal, and then it's like, no, they're not, and it's like they're more of this and that, and it's like, so it fits, I think.
Yeah, they've been making a name for themselves in the last couple of years for sure. Yeah. Awesome. All right, Mike.
I guess my biggest influence on the guitar is John Petrucci from Dream Theater.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, absolutely.
That's probably my biggest influence. Maybe second to him would be his name is Ola England. He runs a YouTube channel. I don't know if
Okay.
But
no, I'm not familiar with him. Where is he from?
He's from Sweden.
It
Nice.
sounds like it, with a name like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has his own guitar brand, and I just started using one of his guitars recently. But he's probably
Ooh.
the second biggest influence. It's weird because he's a
Okay.
YouTuber, a great guitarist. He puts out solo albums, and he plays with a couple of bands.
Good deal.
Love it. Love it. Well, cool. Well, here's my last question, actually. And that is, what is your favorite thing about being a Christian? And we can just go around, whoever wants to speak on that.
I can start first. I this goes from my whole life of being a Christian. If there were times I was at my lowest, there were times I felt like, if God really, heard me at times, it was that obviously he loves me. That's one of my favorite things about being a Christian is, that he loves me, and it doesn't matter what I've done wrong in the past. It doesn't matter how I feel right now, and me personally, to him, it's important whether it's, big or small. And I love being able to serve a God, that is like, you know what, it's all right. I'm going to take care of you. I love you, and I feel like out of a lot of religions, that pretty much takes the cake, that, he accepts you for who you are. He created you, who you are. And, that's what I love about being a Christian, reaching people, sharing the news, and being able to sing, given this gift to be able to sing and share it with, people wherever,
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I can.
Mhm.
Question. What's the question again?
What's your favorite thing about being a Christian?
So my favorite thing about being a Christian is knowing that no matter, kind of like what Aaron said, no matter what happens, no matter who the president of the United States is,
Yeah.
no matter what goes on in this life, whatever kind of ailment you may have, health, everything's going to be okay in the end. You're going to be with God. You're going to see lost loved ones. It's the security that's provided. God dying on the cross for me, to forgive me, save me. That's it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing is the security that comes with being a Christian.
Cool.
All right.
Same here. It's kind of hard to top what these guys have said because that's how I feel. Same. I mean, they've hit the nail on the head. Just having security of just knowing that Christ died for me, and atoned all of my sins from the past that I'm not proud of, and just knowing I'm going to get to see my loved ones again, and be able to walk the streets of gold, man. It's just, it's just a blessing that I don't think none of us can fathom. Just being to be able to see, my dad again. Just knowing I got that security and gift and grace of getting to see people that I've missed, and just the brotherhood, the camaraderie that between us and the other guys that are not here today. Just that's what I love about it.
Amen.
Man, that's good. Awesome. Well, so what can the Christian metal community do to help support Saving Darkness?
The number one thing is, coming to shows, supporting us, just listening to our music, sharing our music, sharing, obviously sharing our music, but sharing it with people, if it's them, if it's, got them out of a hard spot, I personally don't take any glory from it. That is all God's. But, I hope that they can reach it, give it to somebody, when it's touched them,
That's awesome. Yeah. So share the music, come to shows. That's awesome.
Love it.
Check them out on your Spotify, Bandcamp, wherever you can find music. Right.
Yep.
That's right.
Good deal. Well, awesome, man. This has been great. I appreciate your time. Hopefully, we'll gain some new fans out of this. Y'all go check out Saving Darkness.
That's right.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
God bless you all, man.
God bless you.